4 months after the July 4th flooding catastrophe in Kerr County, 7 of the families who lost children in those floodwaters have filed the first lawsuits against Camp Mystic. Part of the camp sits along a river that flooded after the heavy rain. Camp Mystic says it plans to open again next summer on a part of the property that didn't flood. Our Jason Allen has more.
The terrifying flash flood deaths of 25 girls and 2 camp counselors were due to the negligence of camp owners and were entirely preventable, according to 2 new lawsuits.
This wasn't an act of God. This was an act of pure complacency.
Back in August, Blake Bonner told Texas lawmakers that his daughter Lila paid the price for following an emergency plan at Camp Mystic that was destined to fail. The girls were among 135 people who died in flash flooding across Texas that morning.
When I think about the trauma and fear that our girls endured, it makes me physically ill.
An emergency plan to have campers stay in their cabins unless told otherwise was to conceal the dangers that the defendants knew about. It also alleges the camp chose not to spend money on basic safety measures. And after the first flash flood warnings were issued, the suit says rather than turning to the cabins, they convened the grounds crew and started securing equipment. Matthew and Wendy Childress's daughter Chloe was one of the 2 counselors who died.
And those 2 girls would have taken the 13 tiny children in their care up the hill and into safety. But because the rule was to stay in place, they stayed in place, and it cost all of those children, and Chloe and Catherine, their lives.
In response to the lawsuits, legal counsel for Camp Mystic said, "We intend to demonstrate and prove that this sudden surge of floodwaters far exceeded any previous flood in the area by several magnitudes."
Jason Allen, CBS News, Dallas.
Well, there's a growing debate in one Johnson County community. A beer at a ball game might be tradition for some, but should that beer be allowed when the players in the game are children? There's a new alcohol policy at one Burleson sports complex that is stirring debate among adults. And our Amelia Magavero has the story.
At Burleson's Chisenhall Sports Complex, weekends are packed with players, parents, and even cheers from the stands. But soon, parents can grab more than just sodas and snacks. Alcohol will now be on the menu, thanks to a new city council vote this week.
Please vote. Passages 5-4, and 2 noes.
It's a move that's putting some parents on opposing teams.
There's situations with angry parents, angry coaches, people get emotional, and I'm like, you add alcohol to that, and it's like, what are we doing? I mean, they're kids. This isn't a rock concert. This isn't a nightclub. It's a kids event.
Ray Jones, a father of 4, has also been a coach and an umpire and says booze brings more problems and less work options for young adults.
Now that portion is going to a corporation, and also in order to serve alcohol, you can't have 14-year-olds in there. So there's also limited opportunities for the kids who play and also want to earn a little money.
But not everyone agrees.
I have to look at it like in a responsible way. I think it's a great idea because most of us parents will be responsible with that.
Meredith Todd has a son that plays weekly, and she sees grabbing a drink or 2 as a community perk.
After work, I could just have a glass of wine with my girlfriends that we spend every Wednesday night together watching our kids, and it helps bring the community together, and I don't see anything wrong with it.
Now, the sale of alcohol is not set in stone here at Chisenhall Park because after some parent pushback, the city now plans to amend this policy. One of those amendments could actually just limit alcohol sales to specific games or games with older kids.
When I talked to Chief Cordell and some others about this in the other towns, they haven't had a problem.
Right now, the city has restricted alcohol sales for games with players 12 and younger and will not be sold at any Little League games or practices. But for Jones, he hopes these fields stay dry.
Hey, if you can't get through a youth sporting event without, alcohol, you might have a problem.
In Burleson, Amelia Magavero, CBS News, Texas.
And when it comes to our earlier generation heroes, it is estimated there are only roughly 45,000 American World War II veterans still alive today. That's according to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. And on this Veterans Day and Native American Heritage Month are Dawn White, helping preserve the story of a 101-year-old Choctaw veteran.
It all started with the visitors seeing a newborn Gilbert Charleston sleeping inside a dresser drawer in 1923.
He started laughing and said, "Well, looks like we got another little Choc."
The proud Choctaw Indian would go by Chuck the rest of his life, including when he served in the U.S. Army during World War II.
We slept in the tank. We rarely got hot food.
His memory remains remarkably sharp at 101 years old.
I preferred not to be shot at, but it didn't work out that way.
As he recounts combat serving in the 739th Tank Battalion.
I spent 3 years as a tank driver and fought from France, Luxembourg, Belgium, Holland, Germany, back to the Battle of the Bulge.
Target, fire for attacks, over.
The fear of losing his life was real. The conditions brutal.
Many men lost their feet. It was in the infantry because of the snow and the cold. We were fortunate enough in the tank not to lose our feet, but it was still as 20 degrees below.
Chuck joined other veterans in a bittersweet 80th anniversary reunion of the Battle of the Bulge last year.
They flew us to Bastogne, and we met the King and Queen of Belgium.
What about military service is so important to Native Americans, and particularly for those who are members of the Choctaw Nation?
They served before they were considered a U.S. citizen. They were proud to be fighting for something. We've always stood by our country.
It's on this Veterans Day we remember the dedication of veterans, including the estimated 25,000 Native Americans who served during World War II.
It's a way of saying Yakoki, thank you to all veterans for their service, because at some point in time in their life, they signed that check that was payable up to their life.
Chuck turns 102 in December and hopes his story of service and sacrifice is preserved for generations to come. Dawn White, CBS News, Texas.
Time has run out for a North Texas pastor here in the North Texas community as well, for this pastor who was hoping an 11th hour move would allow him and his family to stay in the U.S. legally. We first introduced you to Pastor Albert Oliveira a few weeks ago when he told us a backlog in visa applications forced him to make plans to self-deport and leave his church. This is in the community of Gordon. Today, he has officially now left Texas for Brazil. Our Ken Molestina speaking to that pastor on the emotional day that he led his final service.
If you think that this church is going to close its doors because of difficulties, then you are very wrong. This church has 146 years of experience of seeing God at work.
There were 4 baptisms.
Let's drink together.
Followed by communion and music, lots of prayer, and very few dry eyes during Pastor Albert Oliveira's last service at the First Baptist Church of Gordon.
Thank you, church. Thank you, everyone that trusted me that has been trusting me as your pastor. It's a lot of emotions, a lot of different feelings, honestly. What is the plan for next week? What is the plan for next month? What is First Baptist Church Gordon going to do? We're going to praise the Lord.
For the past couple of years, the Brazilian-born pastor had hoped a change in immigration policy would come down from Washington, allowing him, his German wife, and American son to stay in the country legally. Instead, though, his current permission to be in the U.S. has essentially expired, and a backlog in the current system has made it impossible to get an answer on whether he has a path to a green card.
The Lord works righteousness and justice for all the oppressed. I feel loved, but I also feel disappointed at the people in power.
The hugs at this service for the town's beloved pastor and his wife, as you would imagine, came with a much deeper embrace.
God is at work.
For them,
yeah, you holding it together?
It was a goodbye.
You know, I trust what God is doing.
Talk to me about what all those hugs meant to you, knowing that, at least for a while, it's the last time you're going to be able to hug your congregants.
They mean that this church really loves people, and I'm just one of them.
I'm honestly just really overwhelmed by the love that this church and this community has shown for us, and just to see and to see and trust God's goodness that He has for our lives, even in the midst of times like this, when we face a lot of uncertainty.
Their plan for now is to leave the country for a year before trying to reapply for U.S. visas when they're eligible. Wow. They hope to return to Gordon and its parishioners, who showed Oliveira and his family their appreciation with a big send-off.
Oh, it's awesome.
He's been our friend. He's been our pastor. He's been all that you could ever ask for.
At the going-away lunch, it was clear church members were having a tough time accepting
I'm losing my pastor for a year, but I'm losing a very dear friend.
Their pastor is leaving.
It don't seem fair. It really doesn't. I mean, he's dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's, made all the filings on time, perfect for the whole time he's been here. And to have the rug pulled out from under him, and I just feel sorry for him, honestly, because he has tried so hard to get his green card to be a U.S. citizen with us, and we welcomed him, but he'll get there.
Are you afraid that while you're out of the country, the policies might change again, and you may not be able to return?
That's a fear, honestly, that's something we can rule out. So there's definitely a fear. Unfortunately, the immigration system is something that it changes almost every month. What we feel is we were scammed out of our money, out of our time, out of our plans. The church was scammed out of their time and out of their plans.
So for now, without a change in policy for religious worker visas, this is what it's come to for this family. A one-way ticket from DFW Airport to Brazil.
Something that I've been preaching a lot to the churches, especially in the last months, is for the church to stay united.
All my life you have been faithful.
Because they're going to have to rely on each other more.
All my life you have been so good.
They're going to have to learn from each other more. And unity is going to be the key ingredient in that.
We are diving deeper into an issue that some Texans may not even know that we have. We're talking about an invasive species that is causing a lot of concern in the Gulf. Our media partners over at Texas Monthly were able to witness the fight against the lionfish firsthand. They describe it as the feral hog of the sea. We've got Josh Alvarez joining us in tonight's discussion. Josh, thanks for being with us. You know, many people are familiar with the issues of feral hogs here throughout the state of Texas. They destroy yards, they can reproduce quickly, and they cause all kinds of damage to farmland, which of course impacts the economy. So tell us how the lionfish now is creating similar kinds of issues for Texas.
Sure, good to be with you. Yeah, feral hogs I'm intimate with. I actually wrote a story for the magazine about stabbing hogs with knives with some hunters. So you could check that out in the January 25 issue. But lionfish really are just like the hogs of the sea. They consume massive amounts of native species. They eat anything. If it fits in their mouth, they'll eat it. So we've seen numbers like 85% reduction in biomass in reefs where they're found. So they eat native species, including our commercial fish like red snapper, tuna, shrimp. So that impacts our economy. The scale of the destruction is massive and yet not really been calculated yet. And that's why scientists have been studying them to find out just exactly how much damage they're doing.
Josh, you were part of an invitational hunt to try and fight this invasive species. Where did this take place? And tell us a little bit about how that program works.
Yeah, so I joined an expedition in August. It was a 3-day trip living on a boat through the Lionfish Invitational, which is a nonprofit that connects citizens and scuba diving enthusiasts with scientists in Texas who are studying lionfish. And it's an organization that puts together these trips where we go hunt lionfish, but then by hunting them, we're also bringing them back up on board for the scientists to conduct their studies. It was an incredible opportunity, and it provides a great opportunity for divers because we get to visit these places like the Flower Garden Banks, which is almost like a national park of coral seamounts that are very difficult to get to. It's 100 miles off the coast of Texas. And we also visit artificial reefs that are managed by Texas Parks and Wildlife. So we hunt lionfish, and then we help these scientists gather data about them, hopefully to better combat them.
Josh, how many lionfish were killed during your time in the Gulf, and how fast can these fish reproduce?
Yeah, so on our trip, we killed 92 lionfish, and this year the 4 expeditions combined for 465 lionfish. But to kind of put that in perspective, lionfish spawn, like females, spawn 30,000 to as many as 50,000 eggs every 3 days from the moment they reach sexual maturity until the end of their lifespans, which is about 15 years. So that's 2 million eggs or so a year. And even though a tiny percentage of that reaches maturity, that still is an overwhelming amount of lionfish out there. We have no idea the scale of the population. Again, these are part of why these studies are so important, is to find out, what they're doing and how badly and how many we're dealing with and how many more to go get.
Yeah, sure. And this program, it also involves collecting DNA from the lionfish. Why is that part of it so important?
Yeah, it's really part of the fun of the Invitational, is to see scientists do their work. So Texas Parks and Wildlife had a couple of scientists on our expedition, and they were connecting fin samples. We would clip the tail fins of lionfish that we've killed, and those fin clips would then be later used for DNA analysis. And from that, Texas Parks and Wildlife is hoping to map the population structures of lionfish in the places that they're found, so that can help us better understand where they mate, how many are coming from the same source, and also if they migrate. And that way we can kind of get a sense of places to target to more effectively suppress their population. And this just goes back again to the importance of the Invitational. So it's a nonprofit, it relies on donations, and anybody who really cares about coral reefs and about our local fisheries and our economy, I would really encourage them to donate to the Invitational. It's a really effective program that helps fight off this really horrible menace that's hurting our Gulf.
Yeah, well, our thanks to Josh Alvarez. Thank you so much tonight for talking to us about the lionfish and having this deep dive. Of course, you can read his entire article right now on TexasMonthly.com. A revolutionary way of education is in our backyard, and most of us don't even know it. There are 2 private schools here in North Texas that are powered by AI teachers. Our Lacey Beasley went to the Alpha School in Fort Worth to check it out.
Alpha School is the future of education.
Tucked in an unsuspecting room of this rec center is the most expensive private school in Texas. It's called Alpha School for grades K through 8, and students are taught by AI teachers on the other side of these screens.
It's not like an AI person on the other end. It is just these lessons and questions that are being generated exactly for them.
Samantha DiPaolo has been called a teacher for nearly 15 years, but at Alpha School, she goes by something else. She's now called a guide and essentially supervises the students.
I don't have to teach out of a textbook or an online curriculum. I don't have to teach to a test and say, oh, you must, get these questions right.
Well, do you teach?
At Alpha School? No, I don't teach at all. So, well, I should say what I'm designing are workshops.
At Alpha School, leaders claim students will learn twice as much in only 2 hours of core subject instructional time per day, taught by AI. The other 6 hours of their school day are spent off technology. Students participate in what they call life skill workshops. It focuses on teaching things like perseverance and independence, which Alpha School leaders say traditional education does not teach.
This workshop was about balance. Balance in our lives, mind, school, work, food, anything.
Would you rather be in school or be on vacation?
I would rather be in school. Alpha is the best of the best.
Alpha School has locations nationwide. Its flagship campus is in Austin, and there are 2 locations in North Texas. One in Plano, where tuition is $50,000 per year. The other, here in Fort Worth, which just opened this school year, at $40,000 per year and less than a dozen students enrolled.
We have 9 enrolled. We have a few more starting in January.
Oh, 9.
9.
Single digit 9.
Single digit 9 right now.
The classroom that we were in, is that the whole school?
As of right now, yes.
If there is such a high paywall, an education like this isn't accessible to everyone, Why does it cost so much?
A couple of reasons. Alpha School is a high-end private school. I will say, as teachers, as guides, we are paid a very livable wage. Teachers start at $100,000.
I reached out to some skeptics. Kate Johans is with the Association of Texas Professional Educators. It's the largest community of public educators in Texas with 70,000 members.
I think that with an experience like that, it may work well in some instances, but I think the benefit of a good teacher is the ability to differentiate instruction. The other thing that I think AI may miss is the ability to form relationships with parents.
I asked Samantha why she's confident in Alpha School's approach.
Cannot teach every single student exactly what they need every moment. You just can't as a human being. That's better left to, in my opinion, to the technology.
And you may be wondering, what do students do if they have a question? Well, it's not raise their hand. Students schedule online appointments with human teachers on their laptops and ask them the questions, not the guides in the classroom. I'm Lacey Beasley reporting.